Welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton, and today we are going to talk about some fun, educational, family-building programs you can take advantage of this summer. My guest is Chenequa Hayden from Healthy Families. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Summer is such a different time for families. You know, you get out of that constant stress of day-to-day homework, work, aftercare. You get to slow down a little bit.
Absolutely. And so with people being able to slow down a little bit, we're also wanting them to take some time to nourish their family and do some activities outside of the home. And so we try to modify some of our services and programs that we have to offer during the summertime for families. So they can kind of get out and enjoy this wonderful area that we live in and not be boggled down with the everyday hustle and bustle of what the norm has been,
Yeah, it gives you a chance to rebuild a little bit.
Right.
Because it's a little less pressured. I always love summer,
Me too. It is less pressure, and it's kind of like the time where you just kind of rejuvenate yourself. Be exposed to things that you maybe haven't done before, but you give it a try and you say, oh, wow, I'm glad I tried this, or maybe next summer I might not try this, so to speak,
Do you find that people are unwary about signing up for Healthy Families programs? Like maybe they think, oh, it's for people with problems, not for me.
I think it depends. I think you do have some people that believe that, but I think that's because they have had limited access to our programmings, or even individuals that have participated in our programming. But what we do still see is individuals that have had access to our programmings, that word of mouth thing still really works.
That's really good. You hear from somebody who's had a really positive experience.
Absolutely. Take, for example, our playgroups that we hold 3 days a week. That is one program area that I often hear about moms coming in or dads coming in that they've heard from a neighbor or a friend that has a child that's of the similar age. And they say, oh, this is so awesome. And so they then bring in other friends and other children. And so it kind of grows from there.
To me, that's just such a critical time for parents because you're so obsessed with what's going on right then with your child because the development is so constant and changing. And
Absolutely.
One time you're obsessed with, are they rolling over? Are they walking? Are they talking? And that connection with parents going through the exact same thing is so useful for calming fears. And,
Yes.
you can only tell your other friends so many different things about your child's potty behavior, for example, before they shut you down.
Absolutely.
But if you find
Absolutely.
other parents who are going through that, it's awesome.
Absolutely. And that is exactly what we hear people say all the time. Oh, my goodness. I thought I was the only one whose child is going through a biting phase.
Right.
Things of that nature. Or, I thought I was the only one whose child is telling me no like crazy. What does this mean? But what we have also noticed in the summertime is often parents who were participating in the playgroup program throughout the other parts of the year may have older children. So
who are in school
Exactly, who are in school generally during that time. And so what was happening, because playgroup is generally for children 4 and under, we would lose those parents, right?
Right, because they didn't know what to do.
They can't bring that child. So what we have done this will be year number 2, we've added on something called a summertime playgroup. So what it is for school-age children from the ages of 5 to 9, as long as their younger sibling is participating in the playgroup for 4 and under, they're able to come on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursdays as well. And we have staff that work with them doing crafts and games and little field trips and things of that nature as well. And I think that's been a great addition.
That is wonderful because a lot of times if you're home with the 2 kids, they're always together and they're always, oh, I want the attention. Oh, I want the attention. This way they both get attention.
Exactly.
And mom or dad gets some time with the younger kid and the older kid has great activities and interaction with other kids.
Exactly. And we didn't want parents not to be able to use our services just because their other child is out of school. I mean, when you really look at it, it made sense. We understood why we couldn't before, but the reality is we want to encourage family with all members that are involved in the family. And so we just think last year was a great experience that we got positive feedback from the parents who actually utilized that service. And the staff that we have overseeing that service generally comes from our school age program. And so they are used to working with this age group. So it really is just a perfect fit.
That is great.
Yeah.
Fun. So what else do you have going on this summer, Chenequa?
So we also have some programming, parenting programmings that are going to be taking place in the evening. We're doing 1, 2, 3 Magic, which is going to start July the 5th. That program is 6 weeks long, and that is a program that's kind of like a behavior mod program for parents who have children ages 2 to 12. And so it's like, okay, my child is doing some of these things, and I just don't know how to get them to stop, or why are they biting, or what are these triggers? I'm not seeing these triggers. And so 1, 2, 3 Magic kind of helps parents identify the triggers and address some of the behavior concerns that you're seeing without getting frustrated, without physically hitting and things of that nature, giving you some other tools.
Some other tools. So rewards, how to notice things, how to not let yourself get too involved.
Exactly. Because we know when you get, children feed off of our emotions.
If you take it as a challenge, what your kid is doing, then it becomes a worse conflict.
Exactly. And it's a power struggle.
Okay, this is normal behavior, and I know why they're doing this.
Exactly. So that's exactly what 1, 2, 3 Magic is. And then we also have another program that we're running entitled Guiding Good Choices, and that is for your parents who have children between the ages of about 9 and 15. That's also a program that's 6 weeks long. It's beginning on July the 5th as well. And what it is more so a program where parents are able to learn strategies to teach their children to make good decisions, because our children are often not in our presence. So you have to make sure that you're putting the right things in them so that they can make these good decisions when you're not around, which is what's very important.
That is such a tough time. I mean, my kids are, okay, one is still technically a teenager, but not for very much longer. But when you have younger kids and they get to a certain age and it's your first child, you think, oh, I'm kind of done now. It gets more intensive, the parenting, but it's different.
Exactly. It's different because what ends up happening is you're dealing with their where they are developmentally as individuals and as children, but then they're also dealing with, what's really important to them at this age, which is often their social life.
Peers, absolutely.
And so how do we as parents encourage our young people to have these healthy relationships while also remaining true to themselves and the values that you as a parent, you've tried to give them?
Well, it's how do you get from your parenting strategy of the younger kids, which is controlling things by watching and not letting them get into too much trouble, to the point where you can't control and you have to back off a little, but you want them to make those choices.
Exactly.
It's hard.
And you just have to believe that you have made these positive deposits, right, into them that they're going to then take in turn and use them in the right way. It is a process. So Guiding Good Choices is a great course and program that hopefully a parent can come and get some more techniques on how to do that and strategies. One thing I can say that we've also noticed with our summertime classes, because I'm talking about classes that are taking place in the evening, we have shortened them because it's summer. During the summertime, you really want to encourage families to do family things and have family times. And so it's not that we're not saying parenting education is not important. We're saying it is very important, but this is often a time that we can encourage families to nurture themselves, because a lot of times many families are having more free time. So we have found that it makes more sense to modify, run shorter programs. Not saying that their content is any more significant, but just running them shorter periods of time.
Like summer school.
Absolutely.
You pack more into less time because you're really focused.
Exactly. That is such a great example. Like summer school.
Well, also, we tend to call these classes, and I think sometimes people think that means, book learning, and it's really more workshops. It's very participation, right?
It is. Our setting is very family-like. I mean, if you go to one of our parenting rooms where we hold these groups, it looks like a living room. It's not your conference room, where sometimes conference rooms can feel a little sterile, the participants can potentially feel a little detached from the facilitator, but it looks like your living room. So the environment, we know, sets the tone often. You're not just the facilitator is not going to be reading out of a book, because most of our facilitators, if not all of our facilitators, they're very seasoned in this. They're committed to our program. They've been doing it for several years, and they're committed to the family and children of Hampton. And so you're not going to have a facilitator that just has a book that they're reading out of, and they're not going to tell you just to read along in this book.
Right, read along, do your homework, go away. Not
Or
like
watch
that.
this video. The reality is it's very interactive, and I think what really drew me to Healthy Families is we really want to make sure that what we're giving you is what you need, and it's going to help your family. And so we know as adult learners, in order for you to take things and use them, it's got to be practical and functional to what you're dealing with.
Absolutely.
And that's what these groups are like.
That sounds wonderful.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful.
So let's fill up those workshops and have people interact in a positive way and enjoy themselves. Enjoy those.
Absolutely.
Sometimes family interactions can get awfully tense. So if you can help people smooth that through, it'll carry through to the fall when you're focused on other things.
Exactly. That is the whole plan. And our other hopes are that when you're getting this summer school like parenting education, we hope that you will like it so much that you'll say, you know what, that was actually pretty cool. And you know what, I learned something from that. I'm going to come see them in September,
So
and
Chenequa,
participate in other things.
how much does it cost to get this wonderful experience?
Well, if you're a Hampton resident, there is no fee for the classes that I've discussed today. If you're an outside of Hampton resident, of course, the class is $50, but that includes the class itself, the entire program. That includes dinner. That also includes childcare every night as well. And another really neat thing about us is all children over the age of 5 actually get curriculum. So it's not like we're just babysitting. We know that research supports that if you really want to see a change and heighten the ability to change, for families to change and progress, you want to expose everyone to the changes that may be coming at the same time. So we just break it down to a level in which they understand.
That's great.
Which is also a very unique factor that we factor in when it comes to having our parenting programs there.
Cool. Okay. So free for Hampton residents, which is a huge benefit.
Absolutely.
Do people need to register?
Yes, they can register a few ways. They can either call our office at 757-727-1300, press 0, or they can check us out on our website, which is www.hampton.gov/healthyfamilies. And then I would also encourage people to follow us on our Facebook page as well.
Yeah, I hear you guys have ramped that up. I haven't looked at it. That's
We
good.
have, and I think we're getting a lot of success.
Well, if a lot of your registers, people come from word of mouth, Facebook is word of mouth. And
is.
you get to know people on Facebook that you didn't know otherwise and trust, what they're
Absolutely.
saying, and it enlarges that community.
Absolutely. And so we're just trying to make sure that we are looking at various avenues when trying to reach out to all parents to get them to understand that Healthy Families, what we have to provide is all children's, all families, for the community of Hampton.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Chenequa.
much.
And thank you for watching. I hope you will take advantage of some of these wonderful programs, parenting programs. If you are not the actual parent but serving in a parenting role, you can come to Free for Hampton Families, because we want to help you strengthen your family, which strengthens our city and our community. Thanks for watching.